Hey everyone, it's Brody here and I'm here to talk about a top 10 list. I very rarely do these, so you know it's going to be something special. A bit of background, this is my most worn fragrances since 2018, about midway through the year. The reason is from 2018 is because I used to use Fragrantica to track my fragrances. Fragrantica sucks, it basically keeps the most recent fragrances for 6 months and then it wipes them off. So as 6 months goes on, it drops off the stuff at the end. So I swapped over the Basenotes. And as a result, Basenotes keeps a track of everything you wear. So here's the rough numbers based upon me tracking my fragrances for 2.5 years. So no special honours or honourable mentions or any of that nonsense. Let's get straight into it. Number 10 is Christian Dior's Eau Sauvage Parfum 2017. This is my second bottle. Yeah, I've worn this 25 times. This is an outstanding fragrance. I used to think it was better than the 2012 version, but now I believe the 2012 is better. They do have different occasions. This is a much brighter, whereas the other one's much darker. So I kind of see them as the day and night counterpart to each other. Fantastic scent. I really like this. Strong as hell. Elegant. Really good. Number 9, Interlude Man by Amouage. I almost sold this recently because it's one of the few fragrances. Sorry, it's the only fragrance I cannot overspray. If I put too much of this on, it becomes sickeningly sweet and disgusting, like really awful. It's only when I started to moderate my application of this is when I came to re-like it again. I was wearing this yesterday. I put 4 very small sprays that lasted me all day and it just does the job. Another good scent, but be careful with this one. Oh, and there's 26 wearings for that. With 28 wearings, here's Italian Bergamot by the Italian designer brand of Ermenegildo Zegna, or Ermenegildo. Again, this is a really good freshie. This is a great fresh scent. It has really good performance, easily lasting 10 plus hours, and has really good projection too. I remember wearing this to a friend's house late in summer, and I must have put it on sort of 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Come about 10 o'clock at his, he said, "Wow, Sprout, you smell really nice." And he noticed my smell from quite far away, so really good performance with this one. It's very soapy, and yeah, it's really good. 28 wears, I'm not sure I just said that. Here's something I've been kind of actually wearing like crazy this year. It's Ralph Lauren's Polo, the original. This bottle is from the Cosmea vintage, which I believe was like late 80s perhaps. The bottle is a bit rugged in terms of it doesn't feel as fresh as it should. I have quite a few bottles of Polo, and this one isn't as green. Like the others have a much more prominent juniper note, whereas this one seems to be more base note heavy. So the leather is there really in your face, and I was surprised after smelling other ones because I only had this as my reference. So when I smelled another bottle of this, which was also vintage, the greenness was a bit surprising to me because in my head Polo was kind of meant to be this really rugged and dark scent, whereas it should take a bit of time to develop into that. There's a really nice cozy greenness to there. I've worn this 28 times as well. However, I've worn this 21 times this year alone. And I haven't worn this in a while, so that's a lot of wearings. Again by Zegna, this is Mediterranean Neroli. This is coming at 29 wearings. Almost at the bottom of the bottle, I've got another one. This has now been discontinued and replaced by an EDP version. This is the original Eau de Toilette. Again, fantastic performance. This is my favourite fresh scent ever. Amazing in the winter and cold. For some reason, I much prefer it in the crappier weather. It just kind of cuts through the cold really well. I don't wear it in the heat that often, but even in the heat you still get adequate performance. But in the cold weather, this just is, I hate to say the word, but it's beastly. Yeah, I'm keeping these short, I don't want to waffle on too much. If I was tracking my fragrance usage via Basenotes sooner, this would have a much higher wearing because I wore this exclusively for 1 week, which meant I applied it 2 to 3 times a day, so there would be at least 21 more wearings because of that. Clocking in with 30 sprays. I don't seem to wear that often actually. Quorum. This is in my top 5. It's going to fall. Really good scent. Really good scent. This is one of the vintage ones. Has much more of a depth to it. It's much richer. By comparison, the new ones feel a bit flatter and a bit neutered, I suppose. But this one is an oak moss bomb. Quorum. I've reviewed this, so if you want to find out more about it, then feel free to check this out. Check my review out. God, I'm caning these. Right, up next is... Yes, I'm quite surprised. I didn't realise how often I'd worn this scent. It's Fahrenheit Cologne. This scent needs more appraisal on YouTube because this stuff is so good. This destroys Aqua Fahrenheit. Aqua Fahrenheit is hyped to hell. This stuff is way better. It's much more similar to the original one. It has like... It's basically a cologne version of Fahrenheit, so you get a bit of fresher notes at top, but then it dries down into Fahrenheit basically. I'm not sure how different they are in the dry down, but this is good too. And I believe it is a cologne concentration, it's not an eau de toilette. However, I'm getting 7 to 8 hours consistently with this. I think the reason I have so many wearings is I tend to throw it on at night. I often take showers at night, and sometimes I just kind of, it's like 11, 12 o'clock, I'll have a shower, chuck this on, and make an oil film Basenotes. So I guess it's a bit, the count's a bit off. I guess I haven't really worn it that number of times, but yeah. We have Antaeus, another entry for my top 5. Basically, my entire top 5 is represented through these 10 fragrances. Antaeus, I've reviewed this 3 years ago. My feelings remain. I love this fragrance so much. It's so elegant, classy. Complete opposite of me. But who cares? This, I find, just suits my personality so well. I love it. Great scent. This is the reformulated version, as in the one you can get nowadays. It's good, really good. I am one of those arseholes who's like very vintage oriented and the fragrance isn't what it used to be. This is true with Antaeus. I do have a vintage bottle from either the early 90s or late 80s. It is better than this one. However, this reformulated version stands up really well. I cannot not recommend this enough. It's a weird way to say it. That has 31 wears. Seems a bit low. Right, there's only 2 remaining. I wonder if you know me and my channel, you can probably guess which 2 fragrances are remaining. So, jumping up the notches now quite a bit, with 45 wearings. It's Fahrenheit. I got these 2 bottles because the writing on this one's a bit buggered. I have many bottles of Fahrenheit. I even have it as aftershave, but I don't wear aftershaves. I think the idea was that I would decant it, but that's not going to happen. I have a couple of EDTs now, so it's redundant owning these. These vintage ones are so long lasting. I consistently get 14 plus hours with them. I actually do own a bottle of Fahrenheit from 2017 just out of interest. I was curious how it smells now, and also just for the sake of, I'm going to keep this newer bottle to see how it changes. Vintage is a weird one. It's a subject I like to touch upon elsewhere, but these bottles are from like mid-90s, I believe. So they're pushing 25 years old. It's difficult to know how they've stood up versus how they should smell. I was young when Fahrenheit was released, so I have no idea how it was. I was never aware of the scent growing up. So it's difficult to judge the vintage formulation because I don't have I can't compare it to how it was. So I'm interested to see how this new bottle develops. So yeah, 45 wears with Fahrenheit. I wear this very often. Usually once every 2 weeks at least, and there's me. Just like I've found an attachment to this fragrance. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, I've yet to review my final fragrance. I've been planning this for so long, I just don't know how. It's challenging in terms of how to review it, and I want to do a really good job, but I don't know how. It's Kouros. You guys, if you know my channel, this is my signature scent. Probably, I don't really wear fragrances, a single fragrance enough to be considered signature. This comes in with 54 wearings. and it's my most worn fragrance, so I'm classifying it as my signature scent. I have way too many bottles of this, all in vintage form. Again, I have one new bottle just because I was interested to see how that will develop over time. This has been massively neutered. The new versions, they are strong, but there's a clear lack of note separation. You spray the new formula on and it just kind of smacks you in the face like a whole wallop of notes. It's difficult to kind of discern individual stuff. It kind of just arrives at you all as one sledgehammer, like it's so strong. With this, I find there's a much better blend. The way that everything harmonizes together is just way better. It's Kouros, it's animalic, it's rugged, it's raw, it's clean, it's dirty, it's the perfect juxtaposition. It's sprouty. So yeah, no honourable mentions. I do have some stuff which I've recently bought and I've been wearing the hell out of it, but they don't come nowhere near like the 26 and 25 wear-ins to get into this list. Yep, I would recommend using Basenotes to track your fragrances, because if you do it through Fragrantica, you're going to kind of lose your stats. I'm a bit of a nerd. Sorry, I am a nerd. I do like stats. I kind of do things like track my music I listen to, which I've been doing since 2004. And I'm approaching like 200,000 songs since 16 years. I just like stats. So yeah, that's a bit of a pointless video, but out of these, my top 5 fragrances would become Quorum, Kouros, Antaeus, Fahrenheit, Quorum, and Polo. That's my top 5. There's a very common thread running between those fragrances, but that's the style I like. So yep, that's that video. That's the first top 10 I've done in forever. Don't expect to see many others. See you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.